And to come away without a medal, I think would have been crushing for them. I mean, the expectations going were obviously very high.
Curling now enters the Sports Weekend spotlight.
Thank goodness for you guys, because I was on an island. I was on an island unto myself. Good evening to all of you. We saw the comments rolling in at the bottom of the screen that people are getting their wine and their tissues ready. Joanne, let's start with you. Those scenes at the end of that game are going to be etched into the minds of Canadian curling fans forever.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's more to it than just the one game, I believe, for this team. I think that was a huge moment for them. The way that they rallied, especially in the second half of that game, like, I just can't imagine the emotional just relief that they would have been going through, and particularly Mark Nichols, seeing that emotion on him. It was very emotional in the booth. I'll say that. But yeah, just really proud of those guys. I think that they did a great job. It was fun to watch. And when you saw how loose the Americans were coming out in that first end, I thought, we may have a problem here. And the way that Brad Gushue and his team just hung on and dug in, it was incredible.
Mike, I was struck by the fact that Gushue said that was the toughest game he's ever played in. We have heard Canadian hockey players and curlers in the past talk about that, but this was an excruciating grind at times, and yet they found a way to win.
Well, I mean, I think he was just thinking big picture with all they'd been through with having to leave your family a month before the games. You're not really, the commitment to each other was significant. And to come away without a medal, I think would have been crushing for them. I mean, the expectations going were obviously very high. We talked about it a lot, where we had team 1A, 1B, 1C with the Dean, Mowat, and Gushue, and what we saw. A couple things. Well, just because they weren't their normal selves going into the playoffs, they didn't have the hammer against the Dean. That made the difference. And then to be able to find a way to come together against the U.S. when, I know when they got two in the first end, they weren't thinking, okay, it's going to be tied at the break and we're going to be grinding this out, because that wasn't the feeling you got early. They really had to do something special in that second half, and they pulled it out. And you saw that you said there's a couple things. The emotion between Brad and Mark, obviously. Peter Gallant comes down, gives Brad a big hug too. That was another moment in the booth, and I told lots of crying in the booth. That's allowed at the Olympics. I think that's a big thing. But it was just, I think everyone's really proud of them, and I think that's the recurring message. And I think the conversation we've had over the last few days is that it's not the athletes and the program and everything else that needs to change. Maybe the expectations of Canadians going into the games. It's not 1998. It's not 2006, even when Brad won his gold medal. It's a very, very difficult tournament to win. And we're seeing that if you're off by this much, it's enough. And to grind out a win, I mean, everyone's just incredibly proud of that team.
Bruce, to me, it felt like something was ending, the way those men poured out emotion. Some thoughts from you?
Yeah, that's, a picture sometimes says 1,000 words, as you know, and that's yet to come, but it would not be surprising. The words that stay with me are when Gushue and Nichols hugged, and Nichols said, "You're the greatest ever." There it is. And that really got me thinking, is he? And I would say that, every sport now is putting out its Mount Rushmore. In hockey, it's Gretzky, Howe, Lemieux, and Orr. And in women's tennis, it's Serena, Everett, Navratilova, and I don't know, maybe Margaret Court or Steffi Graf. Curling's Mount Rushmore. If you have four faces that define this sport, men's curling on the side of a mountain, I think Kevin Martin's there, no question. And I think with this bronze, I think that Brad, the argument, it's always an argument in sport, sure, but he's there. I think there's a piece of the rock on Mount Rushmore, no question.
Beautiful. I want to shift gears really quickly because I think we should get some thoughts on that and call it back.
Hey, there she is.
Wi-Fi in Beijing.
Yes, I thought you were just being very dramatic with your pause, and then I sort of came to like, oh my God, she's gone. But some thoughts on this emotional, turbulent, wild semifinal that was the women's curling action, because we have two teams that not only were the last chance qualifiers for the Olympics, but had 5-4 records and the third worst and second worst last stone draws, and now they'll play for gold, Joe.
What a semifinal. The one we did was the Sweden versus Great Britain. And oh my God, like it was wild. Zero defense, all offense. Like the way Great Britain just threw the kitchen sink at Anna Hasselborg, it was insane. Like anytime we're like, maybe they peel the guard, maybe they play the double. They're like, we could just freeze it right here. And 3 inches light is terrible, and 3 inches heavy is also awful. And they just lobbed, like, it was amazing to watch. And like, we didn't know who was going to win. And all of a sudden you're in an extra end tied at 11. Like that was insane. So entertaining. And I think that we're in for a really good gold medal match, because Japan's the same. Like we saw them play Team Canada. They were up 2 and they put up like double guns. 2 center line guards up 2 without the hammer. I mean, it's going to be great. I'm really excited.
Cool.
Do you mean amazing in a good way or amazing in the what are they doing kind of way? Because I'd gone down in the 10th end when it looked like they were going to win the game easily.
Yeah.
After scoring, what was it, a 4 in 9?
In 9, yeah.
Yeah. I have to try, like, it seems like a dream. It was so surreal. And then along comes the 10. I'm downstairs, and the international media are like going, what is she doing? Why did she do that? What just happened? Why is it this?
The guard!
Yeah, no kidding.
I say amazing because I think it's great TV. If it's me playing out there, I don't know that that's the strategy I go with if I really want to win the game. But hey, from the booth, it was exciting. You heard Mike Harris get super animated in those last ends, which was always,
that never happened.
Something was happening if Mike is yelling into his microphone. So I think that's fun tonight.
I was funny you say that about Eve. I texted her brother Glenn, who I used to coach, and I said, "What was going on there?" And he just texted me back. He said, "I think the lady by the hot dog stand was yelling, 'Peel the guard.'" You know, he's like, everyone back home was like, "What are you doing? Hit that center guard on her first," and played a freeze. Ended up giving up 3, and it's like, oh man, what is going on next? So good thing they took.
Like their reaction when that happened, they weren't even like,
oh well,
and brooms or anything. They're like, well, it's no more than 3, so we just play the extra. Like it was just. And
then of course we got Duff made the 2 perfect kick shots, and all of a sudden it was over, right? I mean, that was what a crazy game. And then Japan, like how can anyone not be happy for Japan?
Right.
I mean, everybody, they are so lovable.
Period.
They're just fantastic athletes. And then, and I think Joe can speak to this as well, but we have friends on all 4 of the teams. We see these teams all the time. So you're crushed for Tirinzoni and you're crushed for Hasselborg. And then, Wayne and I've been friends since we were 12 years old. He's a buddy of mine, and I feel sad for him. But then you've got the elation on the other side with Eve and Japan. It's just, we have 3 great games coming up, and they're all going to be barn burners, and it's going to be tough to match that energy of that semifinal, I got to tell you.
Outstanding. Guys, Brad's in the house, and he's been so gracious to join us on the show. Any last thoughts before you get into the final stretch?
We're proud of you, Brad. That's it.
Yeah, go to Brad. We love you, Brad.
You're the man.